a student at Churchill High School, I was not planning to speak, but I do want to start with why the issues with Mr. Miller are relevant to me. I already said I'm a student at Churchill High School. I have a class with Mr. Miller. I take his strength and conditioning class. And I am one of the presidents of Feminist Student Union at my school, and I can be a voice for a lot of students that attend. I want to start with prefacing that I'm obviously not in his health class, which clearly makes my opinions about it irrelevant. I went to our vice principal, I talked to her about my concerns, I tried to be a voice for the student body, and she dismissed it because I'm not in her class. So I would like to talk about my experiences in his zero period class. I have heard from multiple female students as well as seen it myself. He stares, he winks, he touches them to fix their form. People, you are all saying that it is the curriculum, but it is clearly the teacher if it's happening in more than just his health class. Students are uncomfortable, they have not been attending class since the issues. I have not been attending. He has not done anything to me, and I have not been attending, and I will not attend his class again. Additionally, as one of the presidents of FSU, we decided to bring this up in Feminist Student Union last Friday. People have mentioned this is a sexual abuse and a sexual harassment issue. It is a feminist issue. And we brought it up, and what happened is that adults in the back room swarmed around all of us, and they told us that we had to shut it down. We didn't mention his name. We didn't even mention his name. We brought up something on the news. We talk about things that are going on in the news constantly. We brought up what was happening in the news. We talked about a relevant issue at our school, and we were told that we had to shut it down. This is ridiculous. People are not attending his class. People are uncomfortable outside of his health class. It is not just the health class, it is the teacher.
Good evening. Many of you know me, so I am here to discuss this atrocity of assignments. I want to first say you're a liar. It's not a rumor. I have the proof right here in my phone of the with whom would you do it with? And my daughter specifically stated that the teacher put up a wheel on the class board and it stated anal penetration, oral sex, licking of ear, kissing, and he wanted them to write down the initials of a boy or girl that they would do these activities with. Now, I don't know what's worse, wanting to know my child's sexual fantasy or who they're gonna have anal penetration and oral sex with. What is he gaining from this? What do you gain from this information? Why has my daughter that naively did the assignment? Because she's scared. She wants to get good grades. She wants to be, get her license. She has to get good grades. And so she does this assignment. Where's the assignment? Why hasn't she had it turned back to her with her grade on it? What is he doing with it? Is this for his spank bank? Is he literally using this for his sexual deviant? These are questions that need to be answered. He sexually abused every single child in that classroom. You look up the definition, I gave you the paper for the definition of verbal sexual abuse. Now, sexual abuse is sexual abuse. So where's the criminal charges? Why is he still teaching? Is it because he's the football coach and Churchill's doing good? Don't want to lose that hype? Because football doesn't matter when it comes to our children, okay? This sexual deviant needs to be removed. If you do not remove him, I am giving you my word today that tomorrow morning I will go down to the county clerk's office and I will file for the removal of every single one of you.
Yeah.
Members of the 4J School Board, my name is Sheena Bean. I have 3 students in 4J and have always been a promoter of public school systems. Access to a free, fair, quality education is a bedrock of our democracy. Our children have the right to learn in a school that offers a rigorous curriculum, dedicated community involvement, and a staff and teachers who esteem the responsibility they have to shape the next generation. Oregon's public schools are failing. We currently rank 41st in the nation and have one of the lowest graduation rates. Less than 45% of our students are reading at grade level. We should be focusing on academic readiness in our classes and not asking our students to describe their sexual fantasies to our teachers. There is no excuse for this kind of sexually explicit assignment. The 4J school district is placing the blame on the OWL curriculum itself and stated that, quote, "The OWL curriculum is used in districts all over Oregon. If this is so, I would like to know of one other school district in our state who has given their class this assignment." The teacher, Mr. Miller, chose to give this assignment. And if this is a pre-approved part of the OWL curriculum, it should be removed, and I'm glad to hear that it is. If the teacher did indeed choose this, he should be immediately removed from the staff at Churchill until a full third-party investigation can take place. As the parent of a high school student, I cannot see this assignment as anything other than a blatant attempt to promote an immoral sexual agenda to our children. The inherent power differential that exists between an adult teacher or coach and his students has been utterly disregarded. In a culture that professes to value consent above all else, I would like to acknowledge that the children in this class did not consent to be sexual entertainment for their teacher or for a school district with no regard for their safety or propriety. This is ignorance at best and pedophilia at worst. I encourage this board to show their commitment to a safe and inclusive school environment by immediately calling for a full investigation. Thank you.
2 minutes, let's get to it. Hello, first of all, Gordon, thank you for making a personal statement about your stance against this curriculum and the fact that this type of inappropriate material does not belong in our schools. I wish we had a superintendent that would have done the same. My name is Mike Linton. I'm a graduate of Bailey Hill Elementary, Kennedy Middle School, Churchill High School, and Western Oregon University. Currently, I'm a director of human resources for a local family-owned business here in Eugene. My family and friends have been employed by this district for over 40 years, and to say I take or used to take pride in this district would be an understatement. Today, I'm ashamed. Ashamed of what we have become and what we stand for, or what we don't stand up for as an educational community. In my profession, I sit with employees to discuss their performance and the potential for corrective action and sometimes the termination of their employment. It's called a performance review. Today, I stand here before you and need you to know you have not performed to our expectations. You have not done your job, and you all work for us. So like a bad performance review, you're being put on notice. I remember a time that we celebrated success in this district. Attention was focused on facts, objective material, success, and the future. How in the world did this curriculum and assignment pass the test of achieving that? As a parent, I'm always teaching my kids to do what's right, trust your gut, and stand up for what you believe, and they do. Did you guys do that when reviewing this curriculum? Did you even review it? Did you do your job? We say no. You have lost your moral compass. You're more focused on the dysfunction as a board than the positive educational development of our children. Are you making sure that the district is following the training that you received through Safe Schools provided by Vector? In this training, they specifically focus on the areas of mandatory reporting, child abuse, and understanding boundaries. So again, I ask you, how does this assignment or even the curriculum come close to passing the filters from you all as a district, from the superintendent, or to the school itself? Why did nobody stand up and say, I don't believe this to be appropriate, and stand up for what they believe? Did anybody ever think for themselves? Did any of you think that this might be completely irrelevant and inappropriate for an adult to have these conversations with a minor? The only times I've ever heard or seen something like presented to a minor from an adult, Chris Hansen has jumped out of a closet and said, what were you thinking, followed by a prompt arrest on national television. But if we do this in school, we call it educational. I'm short on time, so I'll just say this. We deserve better. Our kids deserve better. If you are incapable of providing the security, safety, and discretionary decision-making needed by a school district, you don't need to be fired, you need to quit.
The situation with the time room is the same, so I'll just put my timer on, and when we get to the end, I hope that you're able to find a way to wrap it up. I apologize for the shifts.
Thank you for the opportunity for public comment. I am one of many community members that must speak out about the curriculum that has been allowed in Eugene Public Schools and the lack of public review by its leaders. When it was finally made public last week that the students within Eugene Public Schools were subjugated to a sexual fantasy assignment, I, along with many community members, were left in utter shock, outraged that students were not protected, and disgusted that any public employee involved with harvesting sexual fantasies from minors were still employed by the district. It's hard to turn the other cheek when the curriculum implemented by the Eugene Public School leaves students in a vulnerable position of feeling violated, embarrassed, and taken advantage of. When I look around at organizations within this community, if a manager or supervisor made one comment, even remotely close to that, they would be terminated on the spot. Yet the people at Churchill High School, a leader in position of power, not only asked students about their private sexual fantasies, but required minors, some as young as 15, to document and upload their sexual fantasies in writing as a graded assignment. Sadly, they do not have the same protections that an adult professional has. Equally disturbing is the lack of public condemnation prior to tonight from district leaders, or even a simple apology to those students. With the exception of Board Member Gordon, thank you for speaking up. The silence of those in power is deafening. The silence leaves the door of moral bankruptcy wide open for students and parents to wonder who's there to protect them, who's there to stand up for them. I can only come to two things. Either the leaders were okay with this curriculum before it became public, or the leaders in this district are too cowardly to stand up through the bureaucracy and send a clear message to our youth that they have their back. I urge this board to adopt a policy that safeguards our students and holds district employees accountable for abuses of power when it involves a minor. There is a war being waged for the youth of America and its hearts and minds and spirits. I urge you, protect our students. Do not let the cultural, moral bankruptcy enter schools and roam the halls.
Our top story this hour, it's about a controversial health class assignment at a high school in Eugene. It has parents upset, to say the least, and I think when you hear the details, you'll understand why. It's even drawn a response from Oregon Governor Tina Kotek.
Yeah, so this assignment that we're talking about at Churchill High School asked students to share a sexual fantasy. Our Devin Haskins joins us in studio this morning. And Devin, school officials say they are now reviewing that curriculum.
Yeah, Christine, that's correct. It's part of the Health 2 Human Sexuality class at Churchill High School. The health classes use a curriculum called OWL, meaning Our Whole Lives. It was developed by the Unitarian Universalist Association and the United Church of Christ and adopted by the school district 7 years ago. The assignment in question asks students to write a paragraph or two about a sexual fantasy, but without penetration. The last line of the assignment says it's to show that you can show and receive loving physical affection without having sex. In an email to parents, the school's principal says the OWL curriculum is endorsed by the Oregon Department of Education. But according to the Oregonian, a spokesperson for the ODE says OWL is not on that list. Parents in the district, rightfully so, were furious once they learned of the assignment.
I'm not an expert on Our Whole Life. I know what I can find on the internet. I know what I've read from the Oregon Department of Education. I see nowhere where it should be talking about your sexual fantasies. I'm going to ask the superintendent to make some really hard decisions here about the curriculum or the individual who's teaching the wrong curriculum.
That class assignment even gaining the attention of Governor Tina Kotek. A representative for Kotek sent KGW this statement when asked about the assignment. They write, "The governor is appalled and thinks these assignments are woefully inappropriate and unacceptable. They do not reflect educational best practices or Oregon standards." Now, this is not the first assignment that's raised some eyebrows. A previous assignment from that class from February was titled, "With Whom Would You Do It?" Students spun a wheel with various sexual acts on it, and then were asked to list the initials of a male or a female that they would do each activity with. The teacher of this class is new to the district and a football coach for the school. The school district now says the sexual fantasy assignment will be removed from the class syllabus and will not count towards the students' grades. Christine?
Okay, thank you, Devin.
Morning, a controversial and shocking homework assignment for high school students in Eugene is under fire this morning.
We are learning that students were asked to write a short story depicting a sexual fantasy, and now the school is getting a lot of backlash from parents. Fox 12's Bonnie Silkman joins us live to explain this isn't the first assignment that's created controversy in that district, right, Bonnie?
Exactly, Shauna. So many parents in Eugene are upset about multiple homework assignments from Churchill High School that they call inappropriate and shocking. One assignment involved a spinning wheel labeled with various sex acts. In the other assignment, students were asked to write a short story depicting a sexual fantasy. Now, we're about to show you a post from the school that explains one of those assignments. Before we show you that, we want to mention some viewers may find this content uncomfortable, but in the interest of transparency, we want to show you the entire post that these students saw. So take a look. Here it is. This is the first controversial homework assignment that got so much attention in Eugene. High school students in the health class there were asked to write a short story about a sexual fantasy with no way of passing an STI. It tells students to choose items to use in their story, giving examples of romantic music, massage oils, and feathers. And it summarizes the assignment by saying your story should show that you can show and receive loving physical affection without having sex. Now, many parents say their kids were very uncomfortable with that assignment. Now, the principal of the school says the school uses a curriculum in its health classes called OWL. It means Our Whole Lives. And now we're learning about another controversial assignment from February that was called With Whom Would You Do It? It involved a spinning wheel on the screen of the classroom. The wheel was labeled with various sex acts. When the wheel stopped on one of the acts, students were asked to write the initials of both a boy and a girl in the class that they would do the activity with. Churchill's principal says the school administration is now working with the district office to review the context of the assignments and ultimately review and replace the OWL curriculum. Now, we did hear from Jennifer Geller. She's a former member of the Eugene School Board there, and she was on the board when it approved to adopt this curriculum. Geller was familiar with the curriculum. She says her children had gone through OWL programs at her church and says her kids learned from trained adults and calls the program accurate, comprehensive, and good for the school district.
And from my perspective and my experience, this seemed like an age-appropriate, comprehensive sexuality program that